What's up guys, welcome back to another episode of Thai Talk. I hope you had a great Christmas and a great New Year. Today we're going to be talking about manifolds. So, why are we talking about manifolds? That's right, Mr. Pizza Cat, we got a new manifold. And the manifold we got is the TWH Black Manifold. Not to be confused with the big Black Manifold, which is for much bigger carburetors, but this is still a great piece of kit. Now, I was originally planning on measuring everything with this ghetto caliper tool, but I never got round to it, so forget that I showed you that. I will be doing some other tests to compare the two, but without further ado, let's unpack this bad boy. Okay guys, so here we are at the unpacking part of this video, and of course, as always, thanks a lot AAA for reasonably priced parts. Check them out if you need scooter parts. Here it is, the TWH Black Manifold. The packaging's nice, very well presented, super easy to open. As you can see, it's not a problem, you get straight in there. And here it is. Straight away you can feel it's got a nice design, it's weighted, it's not some cheap piece of plastic. Also included inside is a flange, which is a 28mm flange. The one provided is 26. You've got a bag of parts here, bolts, a gasket and some different reeds. Now of course you can recycle the packaging. I won't be doing that.
How dare you!
It's going to go straight in the bin. Now let's do a side-by-side comparison with the black and silver together. The first thing that I spot here is that the central part of the manifold in between the neck and the base is different. The silver one has one piece, as you can see there, and the black one has a two-piece, like a sandwich there. I'm sure that is better. I guess so. Again, leave a comment if you know any different. The next thing we can notice is that the neck on the silver manifold is a lot longer than the neck on the black manifold. The shorter neck is better, it is an improvement. And of course the flange style is better. Here's your vacuum line. I'm going to be changing that out for just a regular screw. The next thing you can see is that obviously the black one has one Jubilee clip and the silver one has two. So moving on, the base of the manifolds, as far as I can see, they're completely the same. If you've measured these, please leave a comment if there's any difference in between the bases, but to me they look exactly the same. The next huge difference that we have with the two manifolds is the reed design. As you can see, the black manifold has a very unique reed design. And of course the silver one, it has like a standard double reed design, which you'll see in a lot of manifolds. But the black one, the design looks super cool. So I guess now really, let's move on to the next section, guys. So as I mentioned, they have two different flanges. As you can see, for my 28mm SWR carb, it doesn't fit the 26mm flange that comes on the manifold already. So I'm going to swap it out for the 28mm one. As you can see, that plugs on dead easy, super nice fit. That's the one we want. So this is a pretty easy job. All you're going to need is an Allen key. All the bolts on this manifold are Allen keys. So here we go, just a quick undo of these two bolts here, and then that one comes off. Now you can see we get a little bit more of a look inside. It looks pretty manifoldy to me. But anyway, yeah, let's just get the new flange on there. Before that, let's go deep inside and take a look. So here we go. Right, that's that's all the bolts removed. Obviously, as you've seen, they are Allen key bolts. I'm not sure exactly the size of the Allen key. It looks like around about 6mm, but don't quote me on that. So we're going to open it up now, and what we're going to see are the reeds, the reed cage, and a few gaskets. Now let's see if we can just take all of this apart and see exactly what it consists of. Okay, so we've disassembled this part, and now we can see in my hands is the reed cage. We can take a look around, we can get a better look at the reed design on the black intake. You can see there's a big thick metal gasket here, and underneath that is a paper gasket. Now what I'm going to do is do another comparison for the differences in the reed design. You can see here on the silver intake there is two reeds side by side. Obviously there's two sets of two reeds side by side there. And on the black intake you can see there's two sets of two reeds on top of each other. Right, now you can see here we have another paper gasket. This is just laden with gaskets. I guess that's a good thing, of course, but it just means a lot more things to seal up with the gasket paste when we reassemble this. And here's all the parts. You can see there's quite a few parts to this, but we've been through most of them. This is the old flange, the 26mm flange. What I'm going to do is just take the Jubilee clip off of that, and we are going to begin to assemble the intake or the manifold and get this done properly so that there's no air leaks. So guys, here we are, and now we are going to open up the little bag of goodies that TWH has lovingly provided us with, which will assist us in assembling the intake properly. So let's have a look what's inside here. You can see that you have a set of bolts and a little screw here, which is going to be used to replace the vacuum screw that is in there from the factory. I won't be using that, so I'll be using this screw just to block that off. So of course now we need to remove this little vacuum screw here. The way that I'm doing it is not cool. If you have the right size spanner for that, I would insist that you use that, but I'm impatient and I want to get that done. So as you can see, it's now off, and we are going to insert the screw which is going to blank off this little hole here. Right, so guys, you can see that was a nice easy little job, and it's really worth it if you're not using a vacuum line. So now we're going to move on to actually attaching the flange, the new 28mm flange, onto the neck of the carburetor as so. So as you can see on the new flange, the 28mm, it says PWK 28, so you can't be mistaken with which one to use. This fits perfectly with my SWR carburetor 28mm that I recently purchased. I haven't done a video about this yet, but the next video coming up is me stripping it down, cleaning it out with the carburetor cleaner right here. So keep watching my channel, that video will be uploaded soon. Okay, so let's get on with this. What you're going to need is some tissue or a rag or something like this, just to keep your hands clean, because you're going to get gasket paste all over them, at least all over a finger. And that's not going to be cool, because you're going to get gasket paste everywhere. It's not going to be nice. It's going to take a long time to clean up. So get your tissue, put it somewhere where you can get it easily, and let's get on with this. As you can see, I'm just taking a little bit of gasket paste each time and applying it to the flange. You don't need too much, but don't use too little. So once you've got the gasket paste on the flange, Now you can actually attach the two flanges together, make sure that they're lined up nicely. Next thing that is going to happen is you're going to take your screws, your Allen screws, and you're going to put them in. Okay, so now we've got that tightened up, all that needs to happen next is to wipe off any excess gasket paste. And as you can see there, I've already gone and wiped it all off. So next, we're just going to put on the Jubilee clip, which is going to hold the carburetor in place safely. Okay guys, so next, what we're going to do is seal up where the vacuum screw used to be. As I mentioned earlier, we can exchange the vacuum screw for a regular screw just to blank it off. So what we're going to do next is just remove that screw, add a little bit of gasket paste to the thread and screw it back in again, just to make sure that we don't have any air leaks anywhere. This is really important with an intake when you assemble it, that you don't have any air leaks. So using gasket paste is definitely very, very important. So guys, as you can see here, I've put a little bit of gasket paste on the thread, and then we're just going to screw it back in. And of course, we need to make sure that before we run the bike with any of this, any gasket paste ever, whether you're using Honda Bond or any kind of RTV paste, you want to give it some time to set. So give it a few hours just to make sure that the paste has gone off and hardened properly. Okay guys, so here we are at the part of the video where we're going to assemble the reed cage. Now, a good friend of mine, someone who is very experienced with this kind of thing, he advised me that I should use these reeds. These reeds were supplied in the bag with the bolts and a few other bits. So I'm going to use those reeds instead of the ones that came from the factory. Now, of course, you want to assemble it with the gasket like this, and then next you'll take your metal spacer, that'll go on top, and of course then we will put the reeds on. There's a few other little bits that need to be done to make sure the reeds fit perfectly. So of course you know what's coming next. There's going to be some gasket paste application. So I'm going to fast forward through and let you guys watch how I do that. Right, so that's the paste applied to the actual body of the reed cage. So we're just going to put the gasket on and just press it down around where the paste was to make sure that it makes good contact. And then of course next what we're going to do is put this spacer on. So we're going to need more gasket paste. As you guys can see, there isn't much of an art to applying the paste. Just make sure that you don't get it everywhere and then you'll be fine. So now we've got the metal spacer applied. Now we're going to actually put on the new reeds. As you can see, it has only one reed. It's just a single sheet of the reed material with the backboard. I don't know exactly how to call that. Again, of course, as always, if you know the name, please let me know in the comments. But I'm just going to call it a backboard for now. Right, so check it out. There we go. This is the reeds installed now. They were just attached by some Phillips head screws. Really easy to do, not a problem. Okay, so the next job is to spread those backboards out right to the edge of this part of the carburetor. They want to be as close to the walls as possible. Now, I thought I would be super cool and try and spread them open just with my hands. And I realized very quickly that it hurt like hell. So I advise you, if you're going to attempt this, use like a pair of pliers or something like that. Don't use your fingers like I did. That absolutely killed. Right, so moving on anyway, the next thing that you're going to want to do is put on your final gasket. So just make sure everything fits, everything lines up nicely. As you see there, I did like a test fit, so I would advise that. And then of course, once you've done that, you can move on to applying more gasket paste. Okay guys, so now we've finished with that layer of gasket paste. We just want to do what we've done before and go around and tap down the gasket onto the paste. Make sure that it makes really good contact. As you can see, I'm just going around in a circle, making sure that lots of the gasket has made contact with the paste itself. Of course, when we tighten everything down, it'll make lots of contact. And then finally, just one more layer of gasket paste, finally, and then we will attach the reed cage to the actual lower part of the intake. So check it out guys, there it is, the last layer is on there, and now we're going to attach that reed cage to the lower part of the intake. And that's it. Finally done after multiple layers of gasket paste and gaskets and all sorts. That's pretty much it. In fact, I was just playing with you, there's one last layer to go. Of course, we need to connect the bottom part of the intake and the reed cage to finally the neck, the top part of the intake. So here we go with a couple more layers. Right guys, so this is it. The final gasket has been put in place, it's all sealed down, so now we're just going to attach the neck of the intake to the body of the intake and of course the reed cage as well. So now you just want to take your Allen screws, put them in place and of course tighten them down. Right, so after all this is done, we just need to do a final bit of cleaning up because of course we're going to have excess gasket paste everywhere. So just take your tissue or your rag and get cleaning. Okay, so right now you might be asking yourself, why the hell is he attaching that flange again? Well, the reason being is that I found that with the flange attached, it was really difficult to tighten all of the bolts down around the reed cage. So if you're going to do this, make sure you leave sealing the flange on until the very end. Okay guys, so basically that's it. The intake is assembled fully. I've managed to get the backboards of the reeds out as far as I can. So obviously those reeds are going to open up really far. You can see in here. The reason for all of this gasket paste is because we don't want any air leaks. So the more that we can make sure we don't have air leaks, the better our scooters are going to run. So of course this brings me to the end of this video. I hope it's been helpful to you. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you can take something away from it. And of course, if you have any questions or any comments, don't forget to drop them down in the comments section. It's totally cool. So I hope I see you guys for the next episode. I've got a few things coming up. Obviously next I'm going to install this intake on my scooter, so be sure to check that one out. So that's it, we're done. See you next time guys.